assault and batteries, but my trunk stay ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Alright, this video is going to be the story about the time I met probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And looking back, it's incredible that this moment even happened. If you're new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've met so many wrestlers over the past 15 to 17 years, and I've documented it all on YouTube, and I'll be uploading them one by one and just giving a story that goes with it. After all these years, it kind of puts things in perspective of like how lucky I really am to have done what I've done over the last few years. The story dates back to May of 2011, and this was a time where wrestlers weren't doing meet and greets, and you can't just go to any convention or Comic-Con to meet them. Guys like Hulk Hogan, guys like The Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, these guys were considered top tier people. These guys weren't just doing any sort of Comic-Cons or conventions, and you really had to go out of your way to meet them, especially Hulk Hogan. So when I heard that he was doing a signing close to my house, it was about 2 hours away, and I didn't hear about it, which was the crazy thing, which at the time I was pretty tapped into like everything that was going on in the area. I knew that I had to go, and I knew I had to be there. And Hulk Hogan is a guy that I've literally dreamt. I've dreamt about meeting him since I was, at that time, I was 21 years old. So even before that, I knew that come hell or high water, I was going to meet Hulk Hogan, whatever it took. Purchased tickets, again, started off the problems right there where they were all sold out. But luckily I was able to get some sort of like leeway in buying them after contacting the company. When I got to the building, that's when problems started even more because they didn't have my tickets at will call. It's funny thinking back of how much times have changed where now you can literally press a button and have those tickets you purchased in your possession. But at that time in 2011, you required a physical ticket to get anywhere. And the tickets I purchased were at the building, and when I went to get them, they said that they had no record of me even buying them. Luckily for me, I had receipts, and I showed them, and after making a little bit of a scene, they upgraded me into the Fast Pass section, which I didn't mind at all. As you would imagine, the lineup to meet Hulk Hogan wrapped around the whole entire building, and I remember like it was going to take over 2 hours to meet him. So after getting into the Fast Pass line, there was another person who I knew from YouTube. He let me in cut in line with him. So I saved probably over 3 hours just like having this little mishap, which is fine looking back. Now in my mind, I remember during this time, I couldn't believe it. I think I was so overwhelmed with all the wrestlers that were there. This was a company that it was almost like a Legends of the Ring. It was one of those companies that they brought in all these legends. They would have these half-ass matches. It was more a nostalgia thing before nostalgia was cool. And they had him set up in like it was in a gym auditorium. He was set up on the stage where all the other wrestlers were set up on the ground level. Once I got up on the stage, I just remember like thinking like I couldn't believe it. I was so in awe. And again, like I said, I've had dreams. I've had dreams about meeting Hulk Hogan, and to be face to face with him. He shook my hand. How's it going, brother? Like typical, like what I would expect. And I just told him how awesome it was to finally meet him. I talked to him about the TNA because he was in TNA at the time, and he was doing a lot of things with the X Division, bringing wrestling back where WWE was kind of going away from wrestling and more towards entertainment. And I told Hulk Hogan that I went to WrestleMania 27, and he asked how it was. And now I'm like, damn, this guy like wants information out of me. And in the video, you can see me telling Hogan about how the building was a little bit quiet and the fans really only cared about The Rock. They cared about Steve Austin, they cared about The Undertaker, and they cared about Triple H. All the other guys kind of got a mediocre to like a no reaction at all. And Hulk Hogan was very interested in this. He just asked like, oh, so you mean to tell me that they didn't react to this or this or this? And I'm like, no, not really. And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, I was such a smartass. Here I am. I'm going to educate Hulk Hogan on how sound works. Because I told him that, I don't know if you know this, but with the sound level in stadiums, the sound goes up. So maybe it was like loud, not as loud as I thought it was. I know about the sound barrier, brother. And I'm like, damn, like, okay, I guess I can't educate Hulk Hogan on that. But then I brought up the Georgia Dome, and he asked how loud it was. And I told him it wasn't as loud as you and Goldberg at Monday Night Nitro in the Georgia Dome. And he went on and he told me this whole story about how he had to convince Eric Bischoff to let Goldberg beat him. And Hogan was, he was all for it. But Bischoff was against it. They didn't want to take the belt off Hogan, but Hogan, being the nice guy that he was, insisted. He insisted that he give the belt to Goldberg that night. Just crazy. And that's when, again, in the video, you can see me put my hands on my hip. And that's when I start freaking out, because now it's like this stuff that I dreamt about since I was a kid, meeting the icon of wrestling, is standing right in front of me. He's giving me some bullshit story about how he had to like convince Bischoff to put Goldberg over. I had a sweat, and I'll never forget it. And I talk about it in many videos. I like had a sweat drip down my face, and that's when I'm like, damn, like this is incredible. One of those moments that I'll never like experience again. It was incredible, and Hulk Hogan was everything I expected him to be both times I met him. Just the nicest guy, And it sucks that the legacy will always live on to be negative. But for me, the 2 times I've met Hogan, it's been just absolutely incredible. And especially the first time, because that's the time I really had like a full-on conversation with him. Where the second time was more just like, "Hey, how are you?" I said something to him, which I can't even remember. Third time, funny enough, was during WrestleMania 31. He was coming to the airport, and it came out like very recently that Hulk Hogan called the cops on Scott Steiner, and turns out he was saying that he was on the phone with the cops while he was coming into the airport. And there's a selfie of me at the airport with Hulk Hogan in the back. I'm like, damn, this guy's on the phone with the cops calling on Scott Steiner. So it's funny how it all came full circle, and has now become one of my favorite selfies because, it could have been anyone on the phone, but it had to be Hogan calling the cops on Scott Steiner. I remember afterwards, Hogan was not in the mood to talk to anyone. He sat on a bench, he waited for his ride, and he left. What do you expect? We some fans, we kind of crowd wrestlers, at the airport, especially during WrestleMania, but that Hogan experience I had, head and shoulders, like one of my favorite experiences meeting a wrestler. And it'll go down as like a thing that I think only people dream of. I know there's a lot of Hulkamaniacs out there that never had the chance to meet Hogan. And luckily for me, I've had the chance to meet him 2 times. And both times he's been absolutely wonderful. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.